Police in Jerusalem have found traces of explosives on the site of that bus blast in the southwest of the city. At least 16 people were injured in the explosion. 2 people are now in a serious condition. Earlier, police had claimed the explosion was caused by, quote, technical reasons. Well, for more on the story, I'm joined now by freelance journalist Yevgenia Ugrinovich. Yevgenia, thanks for joining us on RT International. What's the latest we have from the authorities on this blast?
Well, police confirmed that there was an explosive device at the back of the bus that caught fire. People who were administered to the local hospitals in Jerusalem were reportedly suffering of wounds typical of an explosive. But so far, no organization took responsibility for the attack. Earlier, an Aggie bus departed from the southern part of the city and arrived at Moshe Baram Street, when apparently an explosion was heard and the bus caught fire. The bus had no passengers when it exploded, and the casualties were due to being close to the nearby bus. It is reported that Jerusalem will see tighter security in the upcoming days because of the situation.
And of course, the police, they initially said that this explosion was caused by technical reasons. Were they still looking into the cause, or perhaps was this an attempt not to cause a panic among people?
Exactly. They tried not to stir panic among the public, but as far as I understood from the police, it's confirmed that it was a terror attack.
And you mentioned that security in Jerusalem will be tightened over the next few days. How tight is security exactly now in Jerusalem? How easy would it be for a terrorist to target, to do a bombing in the city?
Actually, it was the first explosion on a bus since 2012, so it's not that easy to place an explosive device on a bus, given especially in such cities as Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, because of the security, because of the tight security, especially in Jerusalem. But definitely these lone attacks are going to take place in the future, because it's quite difficult to, it's one thing to try and stop a terrorist organization that is trying to do such things, but it's quite difficult to trace and find these lone wolves who are trying to commit suicide or terrorist attacks against Israeli civilians.
Freelance journalist Yevgenia Ugrinovich, thanks so much for giving us the update on that story there. Well, for more on the story, I'm joined live by journalist and author Gideon Levy. Thanks for joining us on RT International, Mr. Levy. Well, police have confirmed now they have found traces of explosives at the bus blast scene. Who may be behind this attack?
The obvious is that it is a Palestinian organization, but it might also very be an individual, because it was not a very professional bomb, as we understand now. And it might be a continuance of this individual uprising, the individual intifada, third intifada, so to call, which was all based on individuals who took their destiny and took knives and scissors. So maybe this time someone more sophisticated took an explosive and bombed himself. But it's really too early to judge.
And attacks on Israeli buses in particular, they've been rare in recent years, haven't they? Could we now see more of such attacks? This is the first one since 2012, I believe.
Right, this was the symbol of the second intifada, and it did not bring much of a success to the Palestinians, obviously also not for the Israelis. It was very bloody, very cruel, and led to nowhere. If the Palestinians are getting back to this weapon, it shows only one thing: how desperate they are and how weak they are in a way, because again, this is the weapon of the weak one.
And violence between Israelis and Palestinians has abated recently, hasn't it? The Benjamin Netanyahu, who said there's a significant decline in stabbing attacks. Are we in, as you warn there, perhaps for another vicious cycle of violence? Is this a symbol of things to come?
It might be, but in any case, if someone thinks that this intifada will calm down by itself and we'll get now a few years of peaceful relationship and prosperity, is totally disconnected from reality. As long as this brutal occupation continues, the resistance will continue. This was the case in all former cases in history, and this will be the case here. It will just change pace. Once it will be more violent, then it will be a more peaceful period, and again violence, but nothing was so far.
Thanks so much, journalist and author Gideon Levy. Thanks for joining us today on RT International.